Hi, I'm Holly Henson. Welcome back to Real Florida Outdoors.
Welcome back. Still here at Hard Labor Creek Off-Road Park. It's a gorgeous Sunday. We're out here in this pristine, unspoiled part of Washington County, what we call the real Florida, here in this pine forest right now with Tallahassee Trail Riders. If you're a regular viewer of the show, you've seen us do interviews, cover some of their hare scramble events in the past. Here now with Larry Nielsen. Larry, you are currently president of TTR, and in the past we've talked about the relationship between families and children in this sport. Today, maybe not quite as many children as there are adults, but I understand that you're getting ready for your big hare scramble in a week or so. Talk a little bit about what you're doing out here to prepare for that race.
Well, we spend several weekends out here prior to the race preparing the trail, marking off the trail, painting stumps, looking, setting up for obstacles, and just overall preparing the course for the race.
You know, Ted Everett and Dexter, both good partners with Tallahassee Trail Riders over the years, obviously, making this facility available. In a little bit of pre-show discussion with some of your guys, realizing how far you have to actually go to get a comparable place to ride. To put it delicately, and maybe to be a little more politically correct than I'm typically capable of being, the tree huggers have got it to the point where we're not able to enjoy our natural resources for fear that 300 years from now we won't be able to enjoy our natural resources. The pendulum has swung sort of too far in the direction that I believe it should have. But back to this facility, an opportunity to enjoy, truly enjoy, in many ways, this kind of a pristine setting. I know that in the past you guys have participated to a great extent here. How do you feel about this location versus some of the other ones that you run? And how about dealing with Ted and Dexter compared to some of the other places? What are your thoughts on the effectiveness to your club of this facility?
It's phenomenal. I mean, to have a landowner like Ted who has just completely opened up his property and has worked with us on every aspect of putting on the race. I mean, it's really a rare find to have an owner like that. And to work with us, I mean, he's out here, he mows, he participates, he even rode in the race last year, and it's truly rare. Florida Trail Riders, they do races all over the state of Florida, and we have an enduro series that is not only in Florida, but it's also in Alabama and Georgia. And it's getting harder and harder to find the landowner who's willing to work with you like Ted does.
Well, in the past, we've sort of come to realize that it's more of a partnership, Tallahassee Trail Riders and Hard Labor Creek Off-Road Park, because you guys bring a lot to the table in the way of knowledge, in the way of input into what you'd like to see in those courses. So in reality, Ted and Dexter sort of benefit from your participation. It's not just a situation where they're charging you to come here and using their park, but rather you're actually bringing your insight, your needs to their table so that they can forge that kind of track, that kind of a facility, so that, again, you'll come back, but maybe you'll attract other attention from other clubs as well.
Oh, absolutely. The club, Tallahassee Trail Riders, has been around for over 30 years, and a lot of the members that are part of the club also race. And so they have a lot of knowledge regarding the course layout and what riders like and what they don't like. Dexter has got years and years of experience and can lay out a course like no other. And so we're very fortunate to have them and to work with them, and it really adds a depth to the club and helps us to put on an event like this. There's a lot of people coming from all over the state, and as everyone, a participant has expectations, and so far I think we've been able to meet or exceed their expectations every year. So.
And I'm glad that you do that shout out to Dexter. It doesn't take but 10 or 15 minutes talking with him, and you realize the expertise, the history, the heritage in the sport that he brings to the table. The most poignant being safety. Anybody can go fast one time, and anybody can be reckless a time or two, but to be able to be in this sport long term on a heritage basis and have longevity in more ways than one, it takes that safety factor. I've looked at the website, I've looked at the requirements to ride here. Mm-hmm. They're probably not much different from what you require as a club, but I was amazed. foot protection, shin protection, helmets,
Absolutely.
neck protectors. It's almost gotten to a NASCAR level of protection, and that's great because if, as a grandparent, certainly now, but as a parent, when I had kids that were maybe going to be interested in doing this stuff, it's sure nice to know they're going someplace where it's going to be enforced, that they're not as reckless as they'd like to be.
Oh, absolutely. We, it's like any kind of sport. There is a certain amount of danger, but the more gear you have, and then to learn the proper use of it, and especially with the kids. When we have our junior races, it's a requirement, and they learn from day one that they need to have their gear on. They understand why they need it, and it's just, I mean, it's kind of part of riding. It's just something you would never go out without.
Not to get into the political arena with the discussion at all, but personally, what are your thoughts about Florida's helmet law or no helmet law, and what are your feelings about the sense that seems to make?
Well, there's a saying, all the gear all the time, and that's something I prescribe to. I ride street bikes as well, have for years, and personally, I would never ride mine without a helmet or without gear, and that includes gloves, jackets, protective boots, I mean the works. And so even in a street ride, I'm very, very pro helmet, pro gear.
Well, I've got a lot of friends, and some of whom I may anger with these comments, a lot of bikers, and they're dear friends of mine, and I've lost a few of those,
yes,
typically to head injuries. We do Thunder Beach down here on the world's most beautiful beaches in Panama City Beach twice a year,
Right.
once in the spring, once in the fall. I don't remember a year thus far that we haven't had at least one fatality. Typically that could have been avoided just by some simple safety gear, a helmet in this case. We're required to wear safety seatbelt, safety gear in a completely roll-caged vehicle, and yet we can ride a motorcycle without a helmet. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'm pro-choice. I'm a firm believer that if you want to do it, you should be able to do that. But I'm glad to hear you say that, because you're very involved with children. You're very involved with
Absolutely.
children and families, and to be preaching that safety part of that gospel, a huge part and very important.
Absolutely. You can't put it on after the accident, and so again, we're very pro gear. I think you can look at the professional riders in not only this sport, but in the different NASCAR series or whatever it is, and if you pay attention, you can see what you need to do because they're all wearing the gear. And so at a professional level like that, it makes sense, and it makes sense even at an amateur level. Or if you're just out on a Sunday afternoon like we are enjoying riding, put your gear on.
Larry, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
More importantly, thanks for what you do for the sport, for the aspect of children and families being out here in the great outdoors enjoying this, and also your partnership with Ted and Dexter. We appreciate their partnership in what we do, and again, we don't take the opportunities often enough usually to say thank you. So for what you do to bring an awareness to the sport, thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you for covering it and giving us some positive PR there.
Well, and that's what it's all about. It's telling the true story and then let people make up their own mind.
There you go.
Here with Tallahassee Trail Riders now with Hard Labor Creek Off-Road Park here in beautiful Washington County, again what we call the real Florida, here for a day of preparation for next week's Harris Scramble. We've covered it in the past. You've seen some of the footage in the past. Hopefully we'll be able to make it over here next week for that. In the meantime, we're going to have some fun out here in the woods, maybe get some shots of you guys out here preparing that track and enjoying what we have. So stick around. There'll be lots more. You're watching Real Florida Outdoors, and we will be right back.